We just saw Obvious Child, and the way that this show works is we review the movie in two parts. The first part is spoiler-free. We give you an idea of whether we like the movie or not, who we would recommend it to, without spoiling anything. And then if you want to go check it out, you can stop the video, go check it out. If you've already seen it or have no interest in seeing it and just want to hear the rest of our thoughts, we'll delve into more plot spoilers and more information after that halfway point. So we saw The Obvious Child, and this is a movie that, from what I could tell before we went and saw it, was kind of a skewed comedy about a woman dealing with, she's a stand-up comedian, and she becomes pregnant accidentally with someone that she doesn't really know that well. She can't really decide whether she wants to tell him or not, but she's going to have an abortion. And what I expected from the movie was for it to be kind of an irreverent but honest and funny look at what that's like, what that process feels like, and maybe give some encouragement or wisdom or help to people that are watching it. Unfortunately, I didn't feel that the movie did that very well. The comedy part of it wasn't very funny, and it wasn't necessarily the comedy about the subject matter, but the fact that this character is a comedian and she doesn't make me laugh on stage or off stage. And I also felt that she was a very kind of naive, self-centered kind of person that I just really didn't get invested in her. I really didn't feel like I didn't feel like she was up against a whole lot, because pretty much everyone in her life was just sort of like, it's okay, not a big deal. It's kind of like the scene in The Room where the mother says that she has cancer and the daughter says, don't worry about it, it'll be all right. It was kind of that level of, really? Like, we're all just going to be fine with this, and we're not going to talk about how, like, potentially emotionally disturbing all of this is for you, and, you know, we're just going to, you know, let it happen. So I can't recommend this to people as something I wish I could. I actually wanted it to be a good movie, and I expected it to be a lot better than it was. But it's just, there's nothing worse than a bad comedy, and unfortunately this is a pretty bad comedy. So that's my 2 cents. What'd you think?
I disagree pretty much completely. I would say I loved it. I really felt like I connected with Jenny Slate's character, the main character in it. It was just such a painfully honest and real look at not only a character that is definitely at times not especially likable, but is surrounded in a community, I guess, that can sometimes definitely be pretty unlikable. I say this as someone that is also a comedian, and so everything in this movie felt very recognizable and real to me, and definitely it feels like the world I live in of a bunch of people that aren't maybe quite ready for adulthood, and so they hide behind humor and jokes and comedy. It's something I think that is very much a part of my generation. We're all a lot of comedy fans, I guess, and we all want to be able to do this kind of confessional real stuff, or this real in your face stuff. And so I found it really interesting and heartfelt. I will say, like, Dale and I had talked about the stand-up comedy in it, and I will also say I don't know how funny the stand-up comedy was supposed to be in it. I generally found the movie to be very funny, but it's more those laughs of painful recognition than this is an out-and-out hilarious moment. There's that one I think the most hilarious moment in the movie, well, that's spoiler territory.
Yeah.
So I'll say that there's a really hilarious moment in the movie that's funnier than another part.
Yeah.
I liked the performances. I really liked the movie. I liked the gentle tone of it, even because it's such a thorny issue that I feel like this movie wants to be important, but doesn't want to be important too much.
Yeah.
It does want to have it both ways of, yes, this is a movie about abortion in which the main character is going to unapologetically get an abortion. But also it's going to be very super gentle about it.
Yes.
Which I think is, I don't know, I think that can be a very helpful thing too. I know if I was going through something like this, I feel like this movie would have helped me very much. Because it's a thorny issue. Dale and I are really going to solve it here in this review.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I think.
So who would you recommend it to? Because I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, it's not something that, just to get through the the non-spoiler version of the review,
the preamble.
Yeah, I think that for people that have been through this experience in their lives, I think this is a pretty superficial movie to give them for it, and so it's not going to offend you, but it's also not going to be very satisfying from that standpoint. And since the comedy doesn't really work, why? Who would you say? Who would you recommend this movie to?
Who would I recommend this movie to? Well, I can say I definitely loved it. I think if you're an urbanite, a young urbanite that shops a lot at thrift stores and H&M and forgets her birth control sometimes, you're probably going to find a lot of recognition in it. And it's not to say that abortion is a unique experience for any woman that experiences it. What can be devastating for one can, it can just be another experience to another woman. I know that I've definitely known plenty of women like that, and I really liked seeing the point of view of that, in this movie, of definitely not that this is nothing, but not that it's what some billboard is going to tell you is this is going to wreck up the rest of your life, don't ever do this. No, it's, something you've got to make your own decision on, and if we all spent time thinking about the paths we didn't take or the ways things would branch out, any one of us, male or female, could just be crippled for the rest of our lives. So go see this comedy movie.
So if that sounds like a lot of fun, definitely go check it out. If you do want to go see the movie, please do. Don't let us spoil it for you. We're going to talk in a little bit more detail and get into more of spoiler territory. So if it sounds like something that's not for you, or maybe you would rather hear more about what we think about it before you make up your mind, we'll talk in a little bit more detail about it. I'm not sold on this concept of, I really feel like the degree to which this movie glosses over her decision, that she makes it. She doesn't question it. She doesn't doubt it. No other characters question her about it. Maybe that is a very modern, urban view of abortion. Maybe it's something that she's already thought about enough that she doesn't need to think about it. She doesn't need to go through any sort of a discovery about that, about what she wants. But it didn't work in the context of the movie because it didn't explain it enough to me.
I disagree, because I mean, definitely there's different types of women that it could be true that would be a much more weighty decision, but I mean, I've searched, that unless I was ready to be pregnant, I would just be right there. I've had a pregnancy scare, and that was my first thought of, well, I'm gonna have an abortion.
Right, but I mean, you're not a character in a movie, and so if you have 90 minutes to tell an audience about who this person is,
Mm-hmm.
and explain their journey and explain what they're going through, and you spend it with the majority of the time she's trying to crack jokes, which is
Mm-hmm.
either a nervous wall that she's putting up, or
It has to be a defense mechanism. She's constantly got that nervous laugh going on throughout it.
Well, and
that was
that's
a good acting choice.
Yeah, I mean, that's my interpretation of it as well, is that it's a nervous wall, but that really never comes down. That really we really never see anything beyond that, and so it becomes a very superficial. It's almost like it's almost like that, instead of this being a story where we see things from her perspective or we learn things about her, it's almost like we're just watching her and we have about as much understanding of her and what she's going through as the guy that eventually finds out that he's a father, and then he shows up in the morning with flowers to go to the clinic with her, which that's again, I mean, in the context of this movie and in the context of this character, it happens to be the right thing. It happens to work. It happens to be what she wants at that point. But it's also like, in real life, 9 times out of 10, that is not what is wanted. That's not what is... That's inappropriate.
Well, again, disagree. I feel because this movie is also a romantic comedy. It's definitely flavored by the air of this is a movie about abortion, but it's also a romantic comedy, and so it's very interesting subject matter for romantic comedy. But throughout, I think the guy remains the perfect dream guy, right up to, I'm there to support you for this. I'm not going to judge you. This is your decision. He is such a ridiculously perfect dream guy.
Right.
That it almost clashes with how real the rest of it can feel.
See, I that's the thing, is I don't feel like any of it was real. Because, I mean, and I agree that the central performance is someone who is on the defensive, and that the humor is the defense against all these things that are happening around her, and when she doesn't know what else to do, she makes a joke, and it's usually non sequitur, and it's usually, outlandish, and as brusque as she can make it. But because, like I said, because we don't get into there's no character that challenges her to have a conversation about why she's decided that abortion is the right answer, versus, raising the child, versus giving it up for adoption. We don't know what her reasoning is.
Well, I think you're asking the movie to be something it's not. I don't think this movie's trying to win converts. It already realizes it's such a divisive issue that I think it just wants to be the gentle... This movie wants to be your cool lady friend that tells you, hey, it's all right? There's a billion other people out there that are going to give you shit about this, but this movie's your lady buddy, and it's not going to give you shit. Which...
Yeah, okay. I guess. It just seems... it seems like shallow comfort to me. It just seems like, someone telling you everything you're doing is perfect and fine and okay, without really understanding what you're doing or why you're doing it. So, yeah, I mean, I see I see your point as far as like not, maybe, you know, this movie isn't about necessarily figuring out that. It's just that that's the central plot of the movie is her becoming pregnant and her determining whether or not or how to tell the guy, and then how they end up at the end, which it has this abrupt Hollywood ending where they end up watching a movie together in her apartment and things are good, and this is the day of
I teared up at that, by the way. I completely teared up at the end. I was like, all right, movie, you did it.
Okay. Well, it worked for you. It didn't. Just, I didn't get into any of these characters. The comedy didn't go anywhere for me. I don't know what to say. Like, that's just me. I have other friends that have seen it and liked it, and I don't get it. I don't see it, but
I
that's
totally
okay.
Respect that opinion too.
That's okay. Yeah, I mean, that's why I take my friends to see movies, because if it was just about my opinion, you know, I wouldn't learn anything. So,
the most genial debate about this movie ever, I think.
Well, it's a pretty genial movie about
it really is
everything that it's about.
This movie does not want to jostle you for a movie about abortion.
She ends up with P. Farter. All right. Well, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed our review. Check out this. If you like the way we do reviews, please like the video, subscribe, and check out the written and video reviews over at DaleMaxfield.com. Thanks.
Thank you.